Welcome to the Ultimate Weight Loss Workshop. This is a three-part workshop where I will share with you exactly how to lose weight, keep it off, and do it all without going insane. I believe life shouldn't have to be such a struggle. And if you do it right, weight loss can be outright fun and effortless. I know this may sound impossible. I wouldn't have believed it myself a few short years ago. And I'll tell you my story in a moment. But for now, just know that I have coached thousands of clients, written multiple books, including my bestseller, The Secrets to Ultimate Weight Loss. I host the Truth About Weight Loss Summit, where I interview the leading experts on weight loss to get all the answers for you. And isn't it about time that somebody told you the truth? If you're like me, you've tried all kinds of diets, maybe even drugs or considered surgery. And then you suffer, starving yourself, telling yourself that very soon it will all be worth it. So when the weight finally comes off, you desperately try to hold on to that moment because you know it will be coming crashing down soon. And sure enough, the weight keeps creeping back. You may even eat exact diet like your slender friends and still the weight comes back. Have you ever been there? By the end of this video series, you will know why the weight comes back, why you can't just eat what others eat, and how to solve your weight problems once and for all without going hungry, controlling your portions, excessive exercise, or pills or procedures that set you back thousands of dollars. So the first problem we have to solve is, how do you lose weight without feeling hungry all the time? Let me tell you how I discovered the answer. I was overweight by the time I was 5 years old. How's that for an early start? At the age of 11, the scale told me that I weighed 160 pounds and I was not yet even 5 feet tall. That's obese. At the time I lived with my aunt and uncle, and my uncle said to me, you're so fat, I bet you could go a whole week without eating and you would be just fine. If you have kids, please don't say this to them. Well, this led me towards anorexia, which grew as the years went on. And in college, I became a vegetarian, but continued to eat junk food. My anorexia continued, and I became sick enough to be admitted to the hospital. After my release, I ballooned right up to over 180 pounds, which put me in the obese category again. The same horrors I had seen my mom go through had caught up with me. Whatever I tried, I was only able to get my weight down to 160 pounds, so I was resigned to the idea that this was the lowest weight that I could ever maintain. Have you ever had a plateau that you just couldn't seem to break through? Well, if so, please be sure to watch video 2 and 3 because breaking through a plateau takes different strategies than kickstarting weight loss, which is what you're going to learn today. So after 10 years of struggling, I finally had a good year. In 1995, I graduated college, I married my husband Charles, and Fen-Phen was prescribed to me by my doctor. Fen-Phen is a drug combination, and it seemed like a miracle. I was able to eat whatever I wanted, and I'd still lose weight because I was never hungry. So instead of eating 6 vegan cupcakes with buttercream frosting and sprinkles, I was satisfied with 1. Instead of drinking a 48-ounce Big Gulp Dr. Pepper, I only needed a 12-ounce can. You see, the drug tricked my brain into thinking it was full despite consuming fewer calories. Is that crazy? Well, here's a spoiler. You can achieve the exact same thing without drugs. Now, of course, I didn't know that back then, and I was simply enjoying my new figure at about 120 pounds, and then one fateful day, the party was over. I found a letter from the FDA in my mailbox. Apparently, the drug I was taking caused severe heart and lung damage in people. So I was rushed to a cardiologist for an EKG, and thankfully I had not sustained any damage. But there I was, back at square one. At this point, there were only 2 times in my life that I had actually lost weight, once from starvation and another time from a dangerous drug. So needless to say, the weight came back, and with a vengeance. Now, by that time, I was working as a chef for many of the plant-based doctors, and I had even given up all the junk food that I had loved. But still, getting back to 120 pounds was something I could only dream about. I was convinced that I just had the fat genes, like my mom, my brother, my grandma, my great-grandma. So there I was cooking for slender doctors, and one day I figured, why not ask them what I could do? After all, that's their area of expertise, right? So in November of 2011, I mustered up the courage to ask Dr. Doug Lisle at a conference, and his response changed everything for me. And chances are, it will do the same for you. Dr. Lisle, I eat a whole food plant-based unprocessed diet free of sugar, oil, flour, and salt. I don't eat chocolate. I don't eat dried fruits. My nuts and seeds are carefully measured out. and I still can't lose weight. What else could I possibly do? Well, Dr. Lyle estimated that I was currently eating about 30% of my calories from fat, and that if I wanted to lose weight, I needed to eat about 10 to 15% of my calories from fat. He told me to treat this like an experiment because we can do anything for 30 days, right? With nothing to lose, I said I would do it, even though I didn't think it was going to work. Well, it did. And 30 days turned into 90, and then 5 months after the start of the experiment, I had lost 20 pounds effortlessly, and that's a pound a week. Now, it may not sound like much, but for me, it was life-changing because I was eating more food than ever before, and I was eating potatoes, rice, beans, and I was feeling full and satisfied after every meal. And the weight kept coming off like clockwork. I felt as though I had rediscovered a miracle drug, but this time I was able to sustain it. By November 2012, I was down to 132 pounds. A year later, I had maintained that new weight without yo-yoing or being hit by cravings. So how would I reach my wedding weight of 120? Dr. Lyle suggested eating more starch. But don't carbs make you fat, I asked? Anybody else out there thinking that? You know, it seems like wherever you go, people are repeating it like a broken record. Carbs make you fat. Gotta stay away from those nasty carbs. Well, it turns out that not all carbs are created equal. Take sugar, for example. It's absorbed into the bloodstream really rapidly, and so of course that does cause problems. But then you have potatoes, whole grains, legumes. These take hours to break down, which gives the body enough time to use the energy stored in those carbs for good, like powering your muscles or brain, both of which run on glycogen, which comes from those complex carbohydrates. So yes, simple carbs are bad, like flour and sugar, alcohol, but complex, unrefined carbohydrates are great. Have you ever gone on a low-carb diet and felt lethargic? Well, that's why, because our muscles and brain run on carbs, the good carbs. And that's what I was going to feed my body. I added rice and beans and lentils and whole grains for the next 5 weeks, and guess what? I lost another 5 pounds, and I was down to 127 pounds. If you think about what gives you satiety, you'll realize it's the starch. No one can be satiated on lettuce or vegetables alone, even though they'll surely fill you up with a few calories for a little while. So at this point, I was still eating avocados, which are comparatively richer than starches and veggies. I decided to stop eating avocados for a month, and I lost another 3 pounds, and now I was down to 124 pounds. Then I decided to do one more experiment. I was still eating tahini and seeds. I went a month without them and lost 3 more pounds. And now I was at about 120 pounds again, and I have stayed at that weight ever since. It's about 8 years. Can you see how this works? All my life, I couldn't figure out how to lose weight without feeling hungry all the time. Well, drugs and anorexia are not a solution. And all the other diets had failed me because they left me starving and unsatisfied. But by following one simple rule, I lifted the curse. All I had to do was lower the percentage of fat in my diet, and things began to change for me. You see, when you do that, you're lowering the calorie density of your food. And calorie density measures how many calories there are per pound of food that you're eating. That's important because our stomach reacts to bulk, meaning you will feel full after you've eaten a certain volume of food. The stomach does not react to how many calories are hiding in that food alone. It's also the volume. And if you look at a chart like this one, it shows you the calorie density of food. You might say, well, if I wanted to lose weight, why not just stick to salad? Well, I don't know about you, but that would never work for me. Salad and veggies are healthy and delicious, but the satiety comes from the hearty starches. In other words, eat starch. Starches are both low enough in calorie density and satisfying enough to lose weight without ever feeling hungry. Now, isn't that awesome? You know, when I first learned this from Dr. John McDougall, I wondered if it could possibly be healthy long term. So I had my blood tested. I can show you the results if you like, but these numbers, the doctor said, are of a healthy 20-year-old. Now, I'm not showing you this to brag, but to share with you that it is possible to look and feel your best, even if you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, or beyond. It's such an amazing thing to experience, and that is what I want for you. Of course, you could say that my results aren't representative, and you'd be right. That's why I've interviewed well over 100 of the world's leading doctors over the years, and they all agree on 2 things. The strategy of calorie density that I showed you here today is the only strategy for effortless long-term weight loss. Eating the way I've showed you here today is also the healthiest option for people who struggle with weight and have in the past, like you and me. So there you have it. Now you know the secret to losing weight. But that's only part of the story. The even bigger problem hits you after you've lost the weight, because keeping the weight off is even harder than losing the weight in the first place. And you know, there's several reasons why it is harder to maintain any weight loss. For example, we know that willpower is a limited resource. In other words, your willpower to stick to the plan will dwindle naturally over time. Ever had a good day only to find your hand in the cookie jar late at night? That phenomenon is just how our body works, and it's not a sign that you lack discipline. We also know that biologically our body changes when we lose weight. The body perceives weight loss as a threat to its chances to survive the next famine. Now, of course, that famine never comes, but the body still lowers its metabolism to hang on to any fat it can. This is often called metabolic disadvantage, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's also one key mistake that I see everybody make who regains their weight. So if you want to prevent yo-yo dieting again, you'll have to watch the next video where you will get the solution to keeping the weight off. I can't wait to see you there. And right now, I just want to know a little bit more about you. What does losing weight without going hungry mean to you? If you could apply what you've learned here today, how would it change your life? Please scroll down below the video and tell me in the comments section. And if you like this video and you found it useful, I would love it if you could share it with your friends. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.